Happy birthday to
me.
That's right, everybody. Today is no ordinary day. It is the one
motherforking birthday.
Yes, it is 22 years ago today. The world was changed for maybe the better, maybe the worse.
I'm gonna go with the worst.
Maybe neutral. I guess you really found that out like after you pass. Like, was your life positive, negative, neutral? I think let's go for neutral.
Let's go for carbon neutral.
Let's go for carbon. We're gonna net zero. But yes, it is the birthday of one Kata. Kata, would you like to explain to the people where we are right now?
We are currently in a really overpriced hotel because it's my birthday and I want to go out on the town. Unfortunately, we do not live in the town.
So one has to get to the town.
And
how one got to the town was me, the chauffeur, taxi driver.
To this said overpriced hotel room.
Yeah.
And here we are, awaiting the rest of the party goers.
I mean, it's going to kick up any second, I'm sure.
They're
being really quiet, yeah. They're being really
Guys,
quiet. Shh, we're recording. And yeah, we're just, so committed to the podcast that we thought, we have about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, in a somewhat quiet space. Let's pull out this recorder. And again, this is not the, tens of dollars worth of equipment that I purchased.
That you researched.
I R&D'd, research and developmentized. It's just my phone. So if it sounds better than our other episodes, I gotta talk to the good people on Amazon because something is up.
Because your however many generations old iPhone works better than that recording equipment.
Exactly. Okay, so I think just to be in theme, Kata, do you remember, because besides today, because today's going to be your best birthday ever, but do you remember, like, your best birthday ever? Let's we're stuck positive. What's your best birthday?
Honestly?
Because I'm trying to think.
I would probably say last year was really pretty good. We went out for dinner, and I got...
Oh, the one I didn't come to.
Well, that was your fault.
That was the best one.
That was your fault. Because we went out for dinner, and I got the perfect level of drunk, where I was so, happy. But the next morning, I felt fine. Because I think we were drinking so much while we were eating that it, balanced each other
the
out.
alcohol was where the food was.
Yeah.
I hear that's how you do it. I would say my best birthday was...
Your 16th surprise birthday party that we had 3 months later?
3 months later with 3 guests in attendance. I think I stopped... I think my last actual birthday party was when I was 10. And I took some of my friends, and by took, I mean, my mom paid for and facilitated this event. Thank you, Mother and Father. I went to a movie, and we got to the theater, and everyone was like, oh, what movie are we going to see? Is it this movie? Is it this movie? Whatever the animated or action movie. I think this is just around the time of the Marvel films coming out. So everyone was like, yeah, let's go see Marvel. And I'm like, we're going to see Oceans. Now, if you don't remember Oceans was a sea documentary.
Not to be confused with the movie with Rihanna, Ocean's 11.
No, it was not that one. She hadn't acted yet at the time. Maybe done a little bit of Battleship, if anyone remembers that experience. But, yeah, we went to see Oceans, which is a documentary. It was like a Disney documentary that they kept hyping on the Family Channel. So I was like, oh, it's got to be good. And I get there, and it is exactly what the title wants it to be. It's about the ocean. You see different creatures. You see different, sharks, things. And I'm pretty sure... I didn't have another birthday after that because I didn't have any friends after that.
Until I came along.
Yeah, that was a few years after.
And here we are now.
Yeah, I probably knew you. We knew each other. No, it might have been I might have been 8. Yeah. So if you went to that birthday party, I apologize. We should have just saw Thor or something. But I wanted to be smart. Do you remember the theme song to that movie?
To Thor?
No, to Oceans. It was Make a way, make a way.
Okay, copyright. We're gonna get sued.
I think you get a little chunk, but that was a big enough chunk that I will have to unfortunately stop.
That'll
for
do,
listeners. Okay, so I was looking back at our last episode and I realized that we forgot to do a snack graveyard. Which, if you're a fan of our TikToks, you realize that there wasn't a TikTok this week because they're normally snack graveyard based.
Yeah.
Scenarios. So I had nothing to talk about, quite literally.
And figuratively.
Also, take a shot every time I say quite literally on this podcast.
You're going to be real drunk like I'm going to be tonight.
Quite literally. So do you have any... I know we didn't really plan this portion of the event, but do you have a snack graveyard? I'm trying to think what's been robbed.
What's been robbed?
Okay, I have one. I hate a limited time event that doesn't come back. Last year, Wendy's did a strawberry frosty, and it was so good. Now, the problem is, when they introduce a specialty frosty, they kick vanilla to the curb.
Well, who wants a vanilla frosty?
I like a vanilla frosty.
I'm a chocolate or die girl.
I did a half and half situation the other time I was there, and it was pretty good. You could say it was the best of both worlds. So that I would like to induct the what is this called? The Wendy's strawberry frosty, which I believe they have in the States.
Oh, I have mine.
Please.
Speaking of the
This
States.
sounds like a good one.
The Taco Bell Frito burrito. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. For those of you that don't know or remember or didn't experience this type of loss, one, I'm jealous of you. And two, about, I want to say 2 months into COVID.
Pandemic.
This weird thing happened where Taco Bell obliterated half of the good stuff on the menu.
Just got rid of it.
They got rid of the potatoes. They got rid of the Mexican pizza, which has made a return.
Thank you, Doja Cat.
They got rid of the Frito burrito.
Which I think is the biggest loss.
Now, you could procure your own Fritos.
But what's the point when they were doing it for you?
That's true. If it's not like a high 18-year-old who's working there after school on their shifts, I don't want it.
Exactly.
If they didn't do it, I don't want it. And unfortunately or fortunately, the employees at a certain Taco Bell we go to are always a little bit
baked
zoinked.
out of their minds.
But you know
They're
what?
More baked than baked beans.
But you know what? They've never messed up my order once. Never.
No.
But the sober people at McDonald's, I can count on one hand how many times I did it correctly. So really, I mean, we can do some sort of academic research. Like, is it better?
Causation, correlation, if you will.
If you will. That could also be take a shot every time we say if you will.
I'll take one right now. Cheers.
So any other ongoings on this week? See, the problem is we recorded like 3 days ago.
Yeah.
So we haven't experienced much week to recap.
But we're about to experience a night and a half.
Well, one of us is about to experience a night and a half.
One of us
the other
is-
one is about to experience bed in about 45
A
minutes.
drive home.
Yeah. Do you want to explain your history of like when you started doing this stuff? I mean, whatever you feel like sharing. But there was a dead period that you could not control. COVID. Her name was COVID.
Her name.
So do you want to explain whatever you feel comfortable sharing? You know, nothing. I don't think you can self-incriminate. I think that's one of the charter rights.
So I come from a European family where drinking as a youth is not frowned upon. Rather, it's encouraged. So the first time I set foot in a club, I was 16.
Which that's legal there, where you were.
Well, not to go to a club. You're allowed to buy beer and wine. But you can't, be buying vodka sodas and tequila shots.
But what if you walk in there and say, I promise I'm only having beer and wine?
I don't think they let you into clubs. Anyway, that doesn't matter. So that's when I started. And yeah, like every summer after that, I'd go to Europe and, with the cousins, and we'd get into trouble, and I'd learn the tips from my older cousins. One of the biggest life lessons I've learned is if you can party with your cousins, you're golden, because no one will let you die. Like,
That's
your
true.
friends, like,
Yeah,
as
you
much
might
as
have-
they love you,
there's,
like,
party friends.
they can leave you on the road and never think about you again.
No, your cousins have to have your aunts and uncles, meaning your parents, to answer to.
They're going to be dead along with you.
Yeah, no, that's
So
true.
no one will get left behind.
Yeah.
So I think part of the reason I got into so much, dare I say, trouble. Not trouble. We never,
Hijinks.
whatever. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
Was because I did it with my cousins, and I knew I was always going to be safe, because what were they going to do? Leave me on the road to die? No. Anyway, the point of that is, I've been going out for quite a few years at this point, and in quite a few different countries.
What's the best country?
My personal favorite for going out, probably Germany,
Worst?
Canada.
No offense, Trudeau.
Full offense.
Or offense.
Full offense, Justin. Full offense. For a number of things. But that's a different episode. So yeah, another tip, try not to mix liquors. You know, for all you youth starting, I like to pick one.
What do you mean?
Like, if you're gonna go vodka, go vodka. Don't do vodka, rum, gin.
Didn't you just
tequila.
pour vodka and rum in a cup? Like
Shut
5 minutes
up.
ago.
I said do as I say, not as I do. Also, it's my birthday. I'm trying to black out.
Oh. Godspeed.
These are tips for the future generation.
Right.
Number 2 or 3. Math is not my
Next
strong
one.
suit.
Next one. Number B.
Girls, watch your drink. Yeah.
My rule is, if you feel like staying home, stay home. If you don't feel like going, just don't. If you do, go for it.
See,
Stay safe. Stay safe.
I say go until the lights come on, which in Canada is way too early.
What time is that?
Like 2, maybe 1.
That seems very late to me. What's like average, global average?
I've gotten home at 8 a.m. once from a night out. 9 a.m.
Wait.
Changed my outfit, had a shower, and gone to brunch.
I can't believe we forgot to address what to me is the elephant in the room. I'm sure people listening to this have experienced the same sort of crisis today, but the banks decided to take a bank holiday
But I think that's just
for
here.
today. No, that's global,
I
apparently.
thought it was just
read.
Canada.
It was
'cause of
global.
Rogers.
Oh, is it just Canada?
Maybe.
I'm pretty sure there's some sort of global bank outage, and I'm 98% sure all the debit cards are they're taking the day off in remembrance of
My birthday.
Kata's birthday. I guess not remembrance, more observance. I can't imagine what they're going to do when you're dead.
I think the whole world will shut down.
There's going to be like a week,
a mourning period.
a mourning period. Just like I found this out very recently, that there's this whole procedure that happens when the queen dies. Like, they have it ready. And I don't know the minutia, but I know that there is a day where they can't play any comedy, or maybe like a week or 2 weeks where they can't play any comedy programs on the like British, like
Airwaves?
official British airwaves, because it is a time of mourning as opposed to a time of afternoon. She's taking selfies.
I have to respond to all the people that are sending me happy birthdays, which is honestly a lot.
Would you say that you're a birthday person?
I'm such a birthday person.
Yeah.
I don't understand how people cannot like their birthdays. I love my birthday. I feel so special on my birthday.
See, I like other people's birthdays, but my own, I'm just like, because it's not. Well, do I like it? Here, I'm kind of a middle child. I say kind of because there's an even number of us. Shout out siblings, but so I'm like in the middle. But there's obviously I have a middle buddy. So I don't always get attention, but I feel like I want to earn it. Like, if I'm getting it, I want to earn it. I mean, we started a podcast. It's not like we're shy, but I feel like I didn't do anything to be born. I quite literally did nothing. It was my parents, I guess most specifically my mother, who deciphered my birthday.
Yeah.
So I feel like if I'm going to get all this attention, like, I should have done something.
Well, see, I think that we're celebrating my existence, which
is everything to do with you.
Which is reason enough to.
Oh, the police are coming. If anyone's like aunt or like great uncle owns some sort of recording booth, can you just please let us use it? Because we're recording on our phones. There's got to be someplace we could go.
Someone please sponsor us.
Please sponsor us. Well, while we're at it, do you have a Gupdate?
I'm gonna have a Gupdate after tonight. I'm ready to spill my guts all night long.
But that's not the well, yeah, I guess I always thought Gupdate is more like south.
Oh.
But I guess it can be northern.
Well, it's
based.
coming out. It doesn't matter which way it's coming.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, I actually have a question about that. As you spilled something on the rug.
Did I?
It's fine. What is the intrigue? Like, why are people like, yeah, I'm gonna feel so sick tomorrow? Like, that sounds terrible. Is it a like just the ends justifying the means situation?
Much.
Okay. Because like I get a sore throat and I'm like, this is the worst day ever. But then for people to know, like, I'm gonna feel like garbage the next day.
Because while you do it,
if anyone can't tell, I'm like a loser and does nothing. I literally go to bed at 8.
But see, I also go to bed at 8, but I can.
You have your moments.
I'm the best of both worlds.
She does it all.
I'm Kim Kardashian West. Mother, lawyer, billionaire.
I want to be a billionaire.
I want to be a billionaire.
Okay, yeah. So we're gonna go.
One of our
Let in the party goers, but we'll cut to something here. So there'll be more of this episode.
Tuned.
Don't worry. Stay tuned. On my own, I don't know the rest of the words. Hello, and welcome back to the second half of episode. What is it? I think it's 5, episode 5 of the Nobody Asked for This podcast. Now, you might notice we are one woman down. Kata, as we've discussed on this podcast, runs her own empire. She has a lot going on. So we here at what is this production company called? Procrastination Productions have decided we're going to give her the second half of this episode off. It is still her birthday week. We celebrate birthday weeks here, so she can't be with us for the rest of this episode. Unfortunately, you're stuck with me for the rest of the episode, so I'm sure everyone will be clicking off. No worries, no hard feelings. I understand. I get it. I have a couple things written down that I wanted to just, go over, discuss. It feels like I'm talking to myself, which I normally do. A lot of people don't know this, and by a lot of people, I mean no people, but I actually have a podcast that I do, I think like 3 or 4 times a day. It's just me talking to myself. And I've really enjoyed, my podcast, my solo podcast really spiked during COVID because you could start wearing a mask. And I could do it pretty much anywhere, at work, walking down the street. Because if I had a mask on, no one could see that my mouth was moving. And I would just talk just quietly enough so that no one could hear me. So this is like my 5th podcast of the day, I have to say. I hope everyone's doing well. But the first thing I wanted to discuss, the first thing on my list here, as we said, it was Kata's birthday. And Kata's birthday for me means that it is time for my yearly Instagram post. So I have my own personal account separate from this that I don't use, I don't go on, I don't interact with, I don't associate with, except every July 8th. Now, every July 8th, I do it's an honor really to just post some pictures from the year in celebration of, our good friend Kata. And it is a nice little exercise for me because I get to kind of reflect on my year, go through my camera roll, see what's up. I have to say each year we get worse at taking pictures, so it's quite slim pickings. But I found a picture here that leads to a story that I decided I wanted to share with everybody. So I found a picture of us at Menchie's. Now, for those of you who don't know, Menchie's is a frozen yogurt shop where you do it yourself. It's like a self-serve frozen yogurt shop. You go in, and there's about 5 different little ice frozen yogurt machines. The left handle is one flavor, the right handle is another, and then there's a middle handle. There's 3 handles on each little machine, and that will mix the two. So it's quite fun. It was quite popular when it first came out, probably about 10 years ago. Now, not so much. I realize that anything that doesn't have a drive-through is not for me anymore. It no longer fits with my lifestyle. But I guess this particular day, I think it was about maybe end of August last year, we decided to go to Menchie's. And what happened at that Menchie's was something that I'll never forget. I'll never forget again because I did in fact forget when I looked at the picture and then I remembered, because in the picture there was something off about our eyes. I was like, it looks like we'd seen something, like we'd seen a ghost. And then I remembered, yes, that was the day I got peed on at Menchie's. Now I'll be completely honest, the title, the headline, I got peed on at Menchie's, does sound a little bit better than it is. It sounds like it's going to lead to a greater story than it does. But this is what I got. One day, the year was 2020 last year, we walked into a Menchie's. And I was excited. I hadn't been to Menchie's in a while. I was like, let's get out of the house. This is going to be fun. So I'm doing, my frozen yogurt. I don't like to go too much. I know I learned not to mix too much, because when I used to get Slurpees, which is a similar idea, you do it yourself, I would just get a little bit of each flavor, and then you drink it and you're like, wow, this tastes like gross, disgusting swamp water, like Shrek's ogre water. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to stick to one flavor, maybe 1 or 2, and what I really go in for is the toppings. They got sprinkles, you can get little cookie dough pieces or whatever, little cheesecake pieces. But what I really go for, and what I think Menchie's liked me going for, because that's where they get the money. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but Menchie's is by weight. So you fill up your yogurt, topping, sauce, whatever, and then they weigh it. And if you think about it, frozen yogurt actually doesn't weigh that much. It's like pretty light. It's like air. But then you get to the toppings, and if you're like me, you're putting on like the full Oreo. They have like full Nanaimo bars, full brownies. So I'm getting there, and they're like, okay, your total is $54.82. Terrible. I'm trying to cut back. I'm going to set the scene. I'm at the topping station, and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to reach for that full brownie that's going to come to about $9.45. But you know what? YOLO, we could all die tomorrow. Who knows? And then I start hearing like a little dripping noise, like a faucet was on, and I'm like, that's weird. Like, why is there like a dripping noise? Like, it doesn't sound like I don't see a sink anywhere near. Like, that's kind of odd. Whatever. I'm still kind of distracted by the brownie, and then I start feeling this sort of like almost like, do you know when you get pins and needles and you feel like little kind of pricks in your legs or whatever? In this situation, it was the legs, but whatever body part is piecing out at that particular moment. I started feeling on my right leg like a little bit of like prickly, and I'm like, what is going on? And I look to my right, and there's this sweet little kid, poor thing, who is having some sort of diaper malfunction all over the floor of Menchie's, which is then bouncing off of the tile and onto my leg. And at this point, everything goes in slow motion. Do you know how when, a crisis is happening and you start seeing everything slower and you can really interpret what's going on and make decisions? No. So everything slowed down. And I'm like, I think I'm getting peed on. And in fact, I was getting peed on. Now, the poor, and I just want to say this up front. Stuff happens. I'm sure I've peed in public before, both when I was a kid and I was a little bit older. It happened. So this is I totally understand. This poor mother was like horrified. So much so that I don't think she knew how to act, because who would? I don't think they give you like a handbook on what to do when your kid starts peeing in a frozen yogurt shop on a stranger's leg. In her defense, she wasn't exactly peeing on my leg. It was just kind of backsplashing until her mother goes to like pick her up, which I don't know what that was going to do. Like, I don't understand the method, but I think she was just panicked, which rightfully so, totally understand. She like picks her child up, and all that does is makes the force at which the pee stream is hitting the tile, like it makes it hit the tile harder, which splashes it back further. And then the kid in her mother's arms like whips to the side, and she starts peeing not only on my shoe, but in the holes of, get this, my brand new $10 knockoff Crocs from Walmart. Not the day to be wearing shoes with holes in them, let me tell you. And maybe I would actually be interested to get Kata's take on this, because I might be dramatizing this, as I tend to. But yeah, so now the pee's going straight into my Crocs. And again, this is all happening over the course of maybe 2 or 3 seconds. But in my head, it's been like 3 minutes. The pee's going into my Croc, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. And eventually it stops, and then the poor Menchie's workers, who I'm sure signed up there because, like, what do you do at Menchie's? It's a self-serve yogurt shop. Like, I'm sure they didn't come there because they really want to work, which I respect. Like, I would get a job there as well. All you're doing is, like, helping people ring through their overpriced yogurt. They now have to clean up the pee. So it was this whole fiasco. My leg, it all dried off. We're fine. I did Google after to see if I needed to get some sort of, like, tetanus shot situation. And actually, good news, pee, I found out that day, is sterile. So really, my leg had never been cleaner. So I don't know what I was complaining about. So yeah, I got peed into Menchie's. I was thinking about getting that on a bumper sticker. But as I said in the beginning, I think it is almost misleading, because it sounds like it's going to be like a better story than it is. And I know that's the worst thing to say on a podcast about telling stories. But I'm going to keep it real. Like, no, I wasn't stung by a jellyfish in the middle of Menchie's, but maybe I should say that is what happened, because that might be a little bit cooler. But again, this is what I got. So yeah, my name is Francesco, and I was peed on in a Menchie's. It shaped me. It shaped me as a person. I can't believe we're already in July. And the only reason I know we're in July is because one, it was Kata's birthday, and two, I just saw a commercial for the Hallmark Channel's event called Christmas in July. Now, if you don't know what this is that through the month of July, the Hallmark Channel, which makes top tier made for TV movies, they play Christmas movies through the month of July. I guess they do that because like July is halfway between like the last Christmas and the next Christmas. So I think they think, about now, maybe we're ready to be injected with some Christmas so that we have enough of a break to be ready for their Christmas movies when they start back up in November. So I love a good Hallmark Christmas movie. I don't know who doesn't. I think it's interesting that Netflix has started making Christmas movies as well. The Lifetime channel loves a good Christmas movie. But I don't know if anyone else has noticed this, but they're all like plot line by plot line, the same movie over and over and over and over. I'm gonna outline it for you, okay? Anyone who's looking into getting into TV writing, take some notes, crack a pen. If there's anything I can teach a class on, it is this formula. It will always start, and when I say always, I mean like 95% of the time. I'm sure you could say, well, there's this movie or there's this movie that strays away. 93.5% of the time, this is the movie they're giving you. So this is what happens. Basically, there is someone, let's call her Lindsay. Lindsay, at the start of the movie, works in some big corporate office somewhere. We see like the opening shot is usually like a little bit of snow falling over some sort of generic like busybody city skyline, office building situation. And it usually starts with her on the phone with her friend saying, Lindsay, like you're such a workaholic, like you should celebrate Christmas. And Lindsay's usually like, I hate Christmas, especially since, when I grew up in Woodchip Chuckhickville, which is the name of her town, her small town that she's from, because she's always from a small town. She'll go, when I, grew up there, Christmas, it's just not the same over here or something. She has some excuse as to why she doesn't like Christmas anymore, but it's made aware with the audience that she used to like Christmas. Then usually something happens where her dad is like, Lindsay, like, can you please come visit me in Woodchip Chuckville or whatever? They always have very interesting names for these towns because it really is the one area where the writer of the screenplay can like really give it their all and add their own personal touch to these films because there is such a played out formula. So just for continuity, we're going to call Lindsay's hometown Woodchip Village. That's where she's from. So her dad, who is, sadly enough, her only remaining parent because she's always lost a parent. 98% of the time, she's lost her mother. I don't know why, but they always like saying that she's lost a mother. So her mother's dead, and her father will call her from, I forget what I was calling it, Woodchip Village, and say, listen, like, I would really appreciate it if, you came over here, grandma's on her last legs, this might be her last Christmas, we gotta bring the family together. So Lindsay reluctantly gets on a plane to go to Woodchip Village for Christmas. And again, she's not the biggest fan of Christmas, and she's kind of dreading going back to her hometown to kind of run into the people that she left behind there because, again, she hasn't been there in 6 years because she's such a workaholic. But that actually just might be an excuse. We're not sure. So she gets to Woodchip Village, and within the first 5 minutes of her arrival, there's usually some sort of local airport situation, or they love to make her go on a train, and like the train gets lost, and it's like some shenanigans that it takes her a while to get there. But once she finally gets there, she immediately runs into her boyfriend from high school. Now, his name is usually Jim, and just to give a little rundown on him, he normally has a dead parent as well, and it's almost always the opposite of the parent that she lost. So if she lost her mom, he's lost his father. And just, a little bit about Jim, he normally runs some sort of like local business, like maybe like a Home Depot, but not like the franchise Home Depot, like a handyman store. I don't know what that's like like he like sells lumber or something, like 98% of the time. But he's also like the town's kid. Like if, Mary down the road, her refrigerator broken, she's calling Jim. If Jill in an apartment building, like her air conditioning went out. She's calling Jim. Like, he's like a man of the people within the town. And yeah, so basically they meet, and they're usually like, oh, nice catching up, but stuff goes south really fast because Jim usually thinks that Lindsay thinks she's too good to be there. And because Jim is such like the heart of the town, he has a lot of pride in his town and doesn't like feeling like Lindsay doesn't like his town. So they're never friends in the beginning. And usually maybe 60% of the time Lindsay's left a fiance at home. We don't actually see this fellow quite often. He doesn't come with her on Christmas, which is a little bit questionable. Like, why are you not spending Christmas together? But Lindsay needs to do this on her own. So yeah, throughout the movie, there's basic hijinks. She usually meets like a friend from high school who has a kid and is maybe married, and she hangs out with them. Yada yada yada. Enter the conflict. Now the conflict is usually that there is some sort of a threat against the town. So either like the town's library is about to get shut down, or like the local high school's performing arts program is like going down the tube, and they need to have some sort of fundraiser. It's a fundraiser that is sometimes in the form of a bake sale, wherein both Lindsay and Jim volunteer, and that's when they really connect. So they'll connect to this bake sale, everyone will save the town, and then it leads into their relationship drama because there's normally some sort of like public display of affection at the bake sale. And Lindsay's like, oh shoot, maybe I do miss Jim. And Jim's like, oh no, I love Lindsay. So it's like this whole big issue. Again, she's usually engaged, which they never really resolve the fact that she's technically cheating, but they just want you to forget about that. There's usually some sort of like vehicular situation where like someone either blows a flat, and you know, like perfect example, Jim and Lindsay are in a fight because they got back together sort of, but then broke up. But guess what? Lindsay blew a fat tire. Guess who's the only person that knows how to fix a tire in this town? Enter Jim. So that type of situation. And then there's usually a death of one of the, like someone's aunt died, like one of the pillars of the community dies, or they all need to come together, similar to the bake sale, but a little bit higher stakes. And then that's when they go, you know what? Screw it. Lindsay breaks up with her fiance and they end up together, and they always end in an engagement. I don't know if anyone's noticed this. They never get back together just as dating. They always have to, I'm gonna win you back with a proposal. And that proposal always happens Christmas Eve, because the timeline of these movies are like December 20th to December 24th. Lindsay leaves her corporate job December 20th, which is like, wouldn't you already be out of the office that day? I don't know, sounds a little fishy. Then they'll get engaged in the 24th. And you don't really realize that all this is happening in 4 days, but it doesn't matter. This is Hallmark. There's a completely different, this isn't real life. This is, we are not dispelling reality. We are suspending reality just for the sake of it. And you rarely ever see actual Christmas in these Christmas movies. They usually skip it. It's usually some sort of like maybe you'll get a Christmas morning montage, and then they flip to like 9-10 months later where they're married with a kid. And that's how it goes. Sometimes you'll have a sequel. They'll obviously have a baby in the sequel. If you get a trequel, like if you get a third one, it's usually terrible because they're out of ideas and they venture where no Hallmark movie has ventured before. So I don't really recommend watching those. But yeah, that's the basic Jim and Lindsay story for you. And they don't really explain how like she leaves her corporate job and like opens a law firm in Woodchipville. Like there's not really any issue with her like putting in her 2 weeks notice or like clearing up her health insurance or whatever. Like they don't bore you with the details in old Hallmark land. So yeah, be sure to tune into Christmas in July. This is not sponsored. They also use the similar plot in just their regular movies, except her reason for going back to the town is someone died. And if they want it to be a mystery movie, her reason for going back to the town is someone was murdered. And then the plot follows suit. I think I've rambled more than enough. This is going to be a joy to edit. Okay, one more thing. I have something here. You can maybe hear it in my microphone here. I was thinking the other day, do you know how they have, in the chocolate aisle, they'll have like 15 different kinds of dark chocolate, each with like a percent on them. It'll be like 70%, 60%, 80%. I've always wondered, what does 100% dark chocolate taste like? Because like I've tried like 75% dark chocolate and it still tastes pretty dark. So like 100% dark chocolate, like what is that? Is that just like, is there just no sugar in it? Because it doesn't say, I'm looking at the package here and the ingredients just says 100% cocoa, but it doesn't say sugar free. And I feel like they would advertise that. And sorry, not cocoa, cacao. 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 Lord knows what that is. But I'm going to open it here. You can do a little, I can do a little bit of, what is that called? ASMR. This is me opening the lint. This is, again, not sponsored. Let's see if I got a golden ticket. Does anyone else think anytime you open a chocolate bar, look for your golden ticket? Although, honestly, if Willy Wonka, he's German. If Willy Wonka invited me to that factory, I would not be going because it's a little bit creepy and I'm pretty sure everyone died. Okay, here we go. It smells pretty dark, but it still smells like chocolate. It can't be that bad. I'm breaking off a piece. Do I go full piece or do I go half? I guess I'll just go full. Okay. Here we go. Okay. It tastes like chocolate. Oh, this is fine. Oh, wait. Oh my gosh. Ew. Nope. Nope. Oh, I don't like this. Ew. Ugh, oh, it's getting worse. Where's the rubbish bin? I finished my Diet Coke. Yeah. Oh. Ew. Dude. What the heck? What is this? That's disgusting. Ooh. Oh, it gets worse. The aftertaste. The aftertaste is worse and it... Ugh. That's really bad. That is really, really bad. What is cacao? I have to Google that. 1 second. Please hold. That's so bad. No one tried this. And if you do have like gum ready to go, that's disgusting. What is this not... The cacao bean is the dried and fully fermented... Well, yeah, it tastes like a bottle depot. Ew. What are you supposed to do with that? Why do they even sell this? That's gross. Okay. I might make Kata try, or give Kata the opportunity to try that. If anyone's looking for a almost full, barely used Lindt 100% cocoa chocolate bar, you might be in luck. I might be able to sell you one. Thank you for joining us. Once again, never eat dark chocolate. If you're offered the opportunity of choosing between getting peed on in a Menchie's or eating dark chocolate, I would highly recommend the pee because it is sterile and this chocolate isn't. So, as we always say, nobody asked for this. I promise next week will be a little bit more, there'll be less of me, which is a reason to tune in. I mean, I'm sure no one's tuned in at this point. I actually would feel comfortable saying like my credit card number and stuff, my address, because there's definitely no one listening to this, but just in case I won't, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you, and we will see you next Thursday.